Okay, Dean Hill.
Yes, sir.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you ended up here at TJC.
Okay. Well, where I'm from, I'm a military brat, so born in Portsmouth, Virginia. My father was a career naval officer. He started out enlisted, one of the few that what they call a Mustanger. So he hit every enlisted rank on the way up, and then he retired as a commander. So born in Portsmouth, Virginia, lived all over, had the opportunity to live in Cuba, lived in Florida, Washington State, and in Texas. Texas is home. My mother and father are both from Texas, so I would come back to Texas every summer.
Yeah.
And I wound up graduating high school actually from Pittsburgh, Texas, and rest is history. Went into the military right away, and during Desert Shield, Desert Storm, decided to, I qualified to become an officer. They decided, hey, we'll send you back to school, and went through the University of Texas at Austin, also attended Prairie View A&M University and several other schools at the same time due to war, and received my commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. After that, I got out. Always been in martial arts, so I taught martial arts prior to leaving high school. Actually ran a club and on the weekends. And when I got out, I was like, you know what? Perfect fit. Might as well do it. So I worked for the railroad, ran a martial arts school, moved to Australia, opened one there. And when I came back to the U.S., took over another large school in Mount Pleasant, Texas. And it was there I had an opportunity to go up to A&M Commerce. One of my students was doing graduate work there, and they wanted to start a class. So I sat down. My master's degree was in education, curriculum, and design. I designed a course for them, and it went really well. And that's when A&M Commerce said, look, why don't you get into higher ed? And I'm like, no, thank you. You guys work way too many hours. You don't get paid enough. No, thank you. And one thing turned into another, but I saw it as another opportunity to help students. I was mainly looking at my martial arts students because I was always encouraging them to finish. And what basically spurred me to finish was I had one of my students, he goes, so are you done with your schooling? And I said, well, yeah, I've got my master's degree, I'm done. He goes, but is that the last level? I mean, there's nothing else after that. I said, well, no, there's a doctor. He said, so you're telling us to finish, but you won't finish. Yeah, okay. So I went back and got my doctorate, and while there, he's no longer here, Paul Miller, had a course with him, and he said, hey man, we could really use some guys like you down at TJC. He seemed to have a very strong background in math, and I was able to come, sat for an interview, and the rest was history. Been here ever since, so I love it. It was a blessing.
That's great. Tell me about becoming a master Taekwondo instructor.
Yeah, long process, long time coming. To become a master instructor, there's several things that you have to do, at least in our organization. One is you have to be at least a 6th degree black belt. So by the time you reach 6th degree, usually you have a minimum of 20 years vested. Some 15 if they started when they were extremely young. From there, they look at everything from your works in the community, what you've done as far as how many students you teach, how many students are still with you, how many students of yours have gone on to either teach in other schools or open up their own schools. And so really it becomes more not about you, but about them. It's a year-long process of training, fasting, fighting, weapons. It's pretty intense, I put it to you this way, going through boot camp and doing the officer's course there for the Marine Corps was difficult, it was challenging, but at least they fed us. Here, no food, so yeah, it was pretty tough. But I enjoyed it though.
Well, that's good, yeah, as long as you enjoyed it.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoyed when it was over.
You were telling me about a new program you're working on. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right, the program we're looking at is called Brother to Brother. We were able to partner with the city of Tyler, and it's an initiative grant where what we do is we want to start mentoring and fostering a lifestyle, if you will, of retention and completion here at Tyler Junior College for our young men of color. You know, oftentimes we encourage everyone to get to college, and then we kind of leave them. And, you know, so retention rates aren't that great for African-American males, let alone Latinos. And so our whole focus now is, now that we got you here, you know, you overcame the biggest hurdle was just to get here. Now let's finish. And let's not drop out. And let's keep, as they say, keep your eye on the prize, if you will, and stay motivated. So with this, Brother to Brother is a commitment from the president of TJC, along with the mayor, of the city of Tyler. And we're going to come together and we're going to make sure we do everything we can to see our young men be successful in completing college, not just completing college, but being gainfully employed.
Yeah. Will this be something that's set up immediately next semester?
We're actually, we had our first initial, as they like to call it, webinar. So it has to be implemented here fairly shortly. We're waiting to hear back from them, but we are on the list. What we will do is we need to find 15 to 20 students to form a committee. And with that, we need to have two, whether it be, one can be a faculty member, someone else can be from outside of the college, a business member or something like that. And what we want to do is, through this committee, create our own efforts, if you will, in ways in which we can combat retention, keep it up, and make sure that our students complete.
Well, that'll be great.
Oh yeah, definitely. So we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah. And now, is there anything else you guys are working on?
You know, the dynamics of the college has changed drastically. I think for the first time, we have freshmen on campus, little kids. So my thing is, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in school? I am in school, Dr. Hill. You spoke to my class. Yeah, right. Good. Well, enjoy it. I hope you're enjoying TJC.
Yeah.
So our early college initiative is going off, and it's going really, really well. I think the neat thing about it, though, is having some of our, as we like to call, traditional students, 18 years of age and older, actually encouraging these young people when they come onto campus.
Yeah.
And so we truly have a college-going culture, if you will. A few of the other things that we have going on, in addition to just the early college, is still with dual credit. We're finding ways to push the envelope to get those guys more engaged on campus. And I think that's student life. That's a challenge for student life. But I know Ms. Tyler is doing a phenomenal job in designing ways to pull them in onto campus so they can feel part of campus instead of, oh, I've got a lanyard, so that makes me part of TJC.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you stopping by.
Definitely.
And it's a pleasure, as always, to talk to you.
Enjoyed it. Thank you, sir.